Hello and welcome to the Newsfeed Talk Show edition. I'm Gabriel Phillipson. And today we are spending this time for a deep dive into music. We will be discussing Blacksburg's local venues, music formats, and talking to some people involved in the local scene in one way or another. And our first guests today are two members of the local band Spilt Milkshakes. George and Levi, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Doing great.
So that's absolutely great. So my first question for both of you guys, and feel free to answer however long you want, is how do you primarily grow your audience?
Growing audience in Blacksburg, I feel like I've met the most people and gotten the most people to start following us through local shows, specifically house shows. The house show scene is kind of coming back in large in Blacksburg, but social media is a big aspect of growing audiences now today, through Instagram, through TikTok, even though I'm really bad at TikTok. Just trying to post consistently, both normal posts and stories, and just getting people engaged.
I see. And well, actually leads into a good question. What are the differences between kind of online marketing and word of mouth marketing? Because those are two very different ways of trying to reach people.
Yeah. Word of mouth is definitely what I prefer. I prefer in-person marketing, doing shows, getting people to be aware of the music. Online feels a little awkward to me, but that's just maybe because I didn't use social media a lot growing up. I always had accounts, but I didn't post a lot. And it's something that I feel like bands now have to do. It's kind of a double-edged sword where social media marketing is really great because it gets your name out to a much bigger audience. But at the same time, not every musician that wanted to be a musician thought they were signing up to basically be a social media influencer. And I don't have a big enough audience to call myself an influencer, but I feel like that's what a lot of musicians I see online are talking about now is I'm a musician. I didn't expect to be an influencer, but I kind of have to be to grow my audience.
Got it. Well, and this is for both of you guys. With that sort of aspect with trying to be an influencer and trying to gain popularity that way, who do you primarily make music for? Do you make it for yourselves or do you make it with an audience in mind?
Oh, I definitely make it for myself. I've had that thought in my head, should I be making music that I want to play or should I be making music that I think people are going to listen to? And I think if I were to go down the latter, it would just start to feel really disingenuous. So I try not to think about it too much in that way.
Okay. And Levi, do you have anything to say on that topic? Because you're in the band as well. It's not just George. You both are in the band. Do you have anything to say about your process doing it? Because it is a band effort, to use the metaphor, so to say.
Yeah, I agree. I think we really just kind of make music that we enjoy playing because honestly, I feel like that's going to sound the best in person anyway, if you see the band really enjoy playing what they're playing.
That's nice to hear. And so where do you guys go to perform live in the area? I know you said house shows, but you could talk about that or you could talk more about specific venues you go to. Just where do you go to play?
Yeah, we played a number of venues. I love XYZ. A lot of people have mixed opinions on XYZ because it's kind of small, but it's this art gallery on Main Street that likes to put on shows. Milk Parlor is a big one. A few bands have gotten into Tots, Top of the Stairs. But the house show scene is kind of my favorite. There's a lot of different houses, apartments around Blacksburg that'll just put on a show.
So what's that like playing in just someone's house or someone's apartment compared to in a specific venue where people are buying drinks or they might be here for other people or whatnot? What's that like?
I find it really fun. I find it really intimate and personal because I'm closer to some people in the audience than I am to you right now when I'm playing.
Not really. I do prefer house shows though. They're so much fun.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. And kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier with social media marketing, what is your perspective on the trend of people that are writing music with the intent to go viral, people writing music for an audience specifically, with that in mind as some people who prefer writing it the other way?
I don't personally have any gripe with it. It's not something that I want to do, but it's a product of the time, culture is a product of the time with TikTok is such a big thing now that people will write songs specifically to go big on TikTok or specifically to be a sound for some format of joke. I don't see a big problem with it, and like getting upset with it. It's not something that I want to do, but more power to you, you know?
All right. And you mentioned this at the top, but why do you think bands need to use marketing tactics in order to promote their art? Because we aren't, I mean, yes, this is a product, but it's art rather than just like your latest energy drink or whatever. If Leva, if you have anything to say on this.
Like, why? Do you think
Yeah. Why do bands have to use marketing tactics, as some people that are in a band, in order to promote their art?
Get it out there.
The only way to get it out there?
Yeah.
All right.
I guess it's a question of like what you want out of it, because I don't necessarily feel like bands need to. Like if you're just playing music to play music, like you're just a college band and that's all you want to do, like you don't necessarily need to be doing that. But if you want people to come to your shows and you want people to start talking about your music, then yeah, you need to get it out there. And the main way that people are consuming media now is Instagram, TikTok, like various social media platforms. So growing an audience there is equivalent to growing your physical audience.
And what is it like with, what's it like, because I was going through your catalog, and it's a really good catalog of stuff that you have released so far. No problem, it's really good. And, but you have stuff released, of course, on the major music platforms, but also places like Bandcamp and SoundCloud as well. And since those are kind of alternative music streaming platforms, what are the benefits of those places to artists specifically?
Well, the really specific benefit I can say is that to get on the big platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, you have to go through a distributor. Like the one that we use is DistroKid, but there's plenty of other ones that I can't think of right now. Where you have to pay them a yearly fee or maybe a fee per song. And they are the one that does the relationship with all the platforms. But the smaller ones like SoundCloud and Bandcamp, you can just post on there for free. Awesome. And like you can tie your like PayPal or whatever to them and like get paid if you want to get paid. I know Bandcamp has a feature that's like pay what you want, and you can set that minimum to be like 0 or maybe like 1 cent.
All right. And so I guess my final thing for you guys both is, if you are liable to say, or you guys want to say, when is Spilt Milkshake's next like song, next performance, like what's up next for the bands?
We don't have any shows planned yet. We just had our last one last Friday, but we did just drop a song yesterday called Your Ghost. It's our Halloween song, and you should go check it out if you can.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so coming up, a look at Blacksburg's music venues and an interview with the manager at WUVT just ahead.
There is a road laid out for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and walk.
Welcome back to this special talk show edition of the Newsfeed. I'm your host, Gabriel Phillipson. And so what's going on right now is that we are doing a deep dive into music. And so we want to get into how downtown Blacksburg has several key music venues for live music performance. But there's more to these places than just a space to hear music. And so here's Newsfeed reporter Guinevere Tran with the story.
Music venues, whether they be intimate clubs or massive arenas, are where people come together to share the universal language of music and arts. In the heart of downtown Blacksburg, the Milk Parlor has served as one of the main spots for live music for students and locals. As they plan for every aspect of their events, from booking the right artists to setting up the stage and ensuring sound quality, employee Tanner hopes to ensure the best possible experience for everyone who walks through their door.
We have an email address that we give out to anyone that inquires about it. And basically we just kind of work with, what dates they're trying to do and kind of stuff like that. We have a bunch of recurring artists that come through, so a lot of the times, we'll just, know what days to put them and work around their schedule and stuff. And then we also book a lot of like local bands and stuff like that to try and get their name out.
The Milk Parlor's success relies on a supportive and enthusiastic audience, as the fans are the life force of any venue. And that's not all. Just a couple blocks away from the Milk Parlor, the XYZ Gallery, a student-run venue, is a multifaceted establishment that combines visual arts and live music together. Mayeli Clary is the president of the gallery.
So XYZ Gallery is a place for all sorts of art forms to come together, whether that be paintings or sculptures, but we also really like to host music events.
In a way to showcase a wide range of artists in different mediums, they provide a platform for emerging talents and established artists alike.
The way that we try to be as generous as possible with the pay, as well as being open to bringing in bands that maybe haven't had as much streamline, I guess.
Both venues play a crucial role in nurturing the local music scene in Blacksburg. They foster a sense of community and creativity, providing opportunities for local and regional artists to shine. Reporting from Blacksburg, I'm Guinevere Tran.
There we go. Our second guest today is one of the general managers of local radio station WUVT FM. I'd like to welcome to the show Grace Dalton. How are you doing, Grace?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
No problem. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how WUVT kind of has a unique role in the music scene here in Blacksburg, both in promotion and also fostering a sense of community, if you're happy talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever you want to get into, I'm super excited.
All right. So my first question is, what do you specifically oversee at WUVT as a co-general manager?
Sure. So me and my co-general manager, Zane Kidwell, we are in charge of making sure everyone at WUVT is doing their job. We're making sure that all the staff heads are taking care of the responsibilities that we hired them for. But we wear a billion different hats, because of course we do. Zane is a computer science major, and so he's really good with working on the technical stuff. We've got just mountains and mountains of computers and transmitters and servers that we have to make sure are up to date and make sure that they are running just to keep the station on the air. And I do a lot of event work. I started out as event manager in WUVT, and so it's kind of my wheelhouse that I love. I prefer to work in. But yeah, we do a little bit of everything. Everyone at WUVT does a little bit of everything.
That's nice to hear. And that kind of segues into my next question, which is, how does WUVT help facilitate a local music scene for bands in Blacksburg?
For sure. So Blacksburg is, it's not the biggest town. I'd say it's. I love it here. I live in Blacksburg, but when it comes to live music, sometimes the only places available to perform are venues that can be booked out months, if not a year in advance. So WUVT brings together a community of people who are really passionate about live music, and we, through whatever means necessary, we usually can find someone who has a basement or an open field, or we'll let a band or two or three take over their living room for a few hours. And we are super motivated to make these shows happen, because there is a limited amount of space for these bands to perform at. So we're passionate about giving these bands, these local bands, a platform to reach more listeners and have more shows. And we just, we want to see the live music community thrive here in Blacksburg.
That's great. And so let's take this from the opposite perspective, from the viewer perspective. What's it like fostering a community for music appreciation? Because of course you guys are a radio station at WUVT. What's it like kind of fostering that community?
That's a really good question. I feel like we are kind of living in a very interesting era of music consumption. I feel like if you walk around campus, you'll see over half of the people you'll bump into have headphones on. Everyone listens to music. It's easier than ever to listen to music. But at the same time, I feel like with all of the streaming platforms and Spotify and Apple Music and SoundCloud, with all these avenues, I feel like it's super overwhelming. And you kind of get trapped in your own little music box, and you don't get out of your your territory or the few genres or few albums that you listen to. I know I definitely am guilty of that. So when we have live shows or when we have DJs who come from all different kinds of musical backgrounds, we are hoping that listeners and show attendees are listening to this music that they haven't heard before and are become interested in exploring these genres that they might not have previously explored before.
That's great. And something I found in my research was that you guys at Move It have songs and artists and albums that record labels will send to the station for airplay. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how DJs that are on air promote these artists that record labels want them to promote?
Absolutely. So Move It is a pretty long-standing organization. We celebrated our 75th anniversary last semester, but we try to work out relationships with a lot of these with these labels, and they will send us music, hard copies. We prefer it to be hard copies of albums or EPs or singles. And if it's up to Move It standards, then we will put it into rotation. We have a little box in the station, and it's our new music box. And we have a mandatory time period. So if you have your radio show within the hours of this time period, you are required to play 9 new music songs. And that just promotes the new music. It also gets the DJs listening to the new music, which is really cool because as huge as our music library is, it's very tempting to go back to the same Talking Heads record or the Weezer album that you know where it is, you know exactly where it is in the stacks and you love it and you play it every show, but we always want to push someone to try and explore a new artist or new album.
That's great. And this can be either for both bands and maybe even broadcasters as well. But do you know of anybody in Move It's past that has directly benefited from Move It's promotion and kind of gone on to do bigger and better things?
Well, we do a pretty good job, I think, of promoting local artists, and we do a good job of also uplifting our DJs and our participants. We actually have a pretty famous Move It alumni. Howda Cabby is a pretty famous newscaster, and we are super proud to say that she's a Move It alumna. But as it pertains to the bands, I feel like I have seen, at least in my time here at Virginia Tech, I feel like I've seen some bands start out at our open mic nights, and maybe that's the only venue that they've ever performed at. This is their first performance, and they're kind of nervous, and I've seen them go on to, perform in real venues and move not just from Blacksburg, but to Richmond or to Charlotte and go on and tour and stuff. I've seen Orange Culture I've seen them do that. I've seen Bone Machine, and I'm just kind of waiting to see who's the next big name to make it out of Blacksburg.
That's great. And I guess kind of going on to having these people get to more places beyond Blacksburg, how far is WUVT's reach? How far is their influence, both literally in terms of how far do they transmit, if you know, but also how far is the trails of the stuff that happens at WUVT to the rest of the country?
That's a great question. We broadcast, you can tune in on your car radio pretty much anywhere in the NRV. I live out in Floyd, and I can usually Move It pretty clearly. But we do stream online from anywhere in the world. I've had friends in Australia and Belgium tune into my show, which was really cool. It's really special knowing that just about anywhere in the world you can tune in to a Move It radio show. But going back to the 75th reunion, I know we had a Move It alumni from all over the country fly in or drive 14 hours or whatever to attend the reunion, which meant a lot to me. It shows that this was a big part of their college career, and they still think about it. They still remember it fondly. So I'd like to think Move It reaches a lot of different corners.
That's great to hear. I love that for them. And with regards to, because you just had your 75th anniversary, and whatnot, and you just had a fundraising thing. That all kind of seems like very nice, and it seems like very good for the group. But what is the importance of radio to an everyday consumer that just wants to hear music? What's the importance of having something like that, especially in an age where you can get whatever you want through streaming?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a practice in, I don't know, in, I don't know if this is weird, but like delayed gratification and not, and like an attention span, because it's so easy to think of a song, pull it up on Spotify, play it, and then play it over and over again. And then you get so sick of that song. I, again, am super guilty of that. I wear myself out on music very quickly. When you're listening to the radio, you have no idea what you're going to get. You have no idea what you're going to listen to. And if you really, really want to hear a song, you're going to have to pick up the phone, call the DJ, and it's not even guaranteed. We might not even have it in the station. But I like that it takes a little effort. It takes a little more effort than just Spotify.
I like that. And so I guess my final question for you is, what is the next thing for WOVID, if you have that planned or you know what to say, because you just had your fundraising event that lasted the entirety of last week. But what's next, if you know that?
I know we have some plans in the future. We're thinking about maybe next semester, but maybe not. Whenever we're ready for it, we are hoping to have a big kind of event, but featuring multiple local bands. We want it to be like an all-day affair, and maybe get some local artists. And we would like to have the next big like fair or festival here in Blacksburg.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Grace. This has been a great honor and great fun talking to you. Thank you so much for this little interview. And so, as we are getting through with this show, we are going to be taking a look at what students are listening to and why physical media is still important. Coming up next.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together,
we should still make an effort.
To get to know each other
on a deeper level.
Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Welcome back to the newsfeed. We're shifting focus back to the Virginia Tech campus and doing a special Man on the Street presentation.
Hi, I'm Treveria Zulfkar. Today we've taken to the Virginia Tech campus to see what Hokies are listening to, how they find new music, and how they connect to the local music scene.
I'd say my top music artist/genres change all the time, but right now it's probably Linkin Park. Changes all the time. Sometimes I'll listen to rap. Sometimes I listen to more Latin music. Discover Weekly helps a lot. Radios on Spotify also help a lot. I just listen to whatever is playing, and if it sounds good, I will look up the lyrics to it and add that to a playlist.
I would say mainly a lot of classic rock, just kind of like R&B as well, like 90s R&B. I don't know, everything, really everything. Spotify's really good at helping you find new music, so I do the Discover Weekly thing, and I don't know, I go to my friends for a lot of recommendations. I sometimes, if I hear a song I like by an artist, I just do a deep dive into their discography, and I go to a lot of local shows and stuff, and it was awesome. I love it because I'm trying to do some of that myself, so just being able to go and see them do something that I want to do is really cool, and they do it really well, so yeah, I think the Blacksburg music scene is pretty cool. Everyone is super cool. They're all stylish. They all listen to good music. All the performers are incredible. They all make great music. So.
But I would say my top genre for sure is R&B, chill music. I like Kehlani, Drake, but then I also like other artists Down, Underlow. I've been a Spotify lover since day one because you can transition songs. You can see what your friends are listening to. You can make collaborative playlists. So yeah, I love Spotify.
I'm a mixed bag of traits, but I do like the indie alt rock kind of genre. I really like the Strokes or maybe some Arctic Monkeys, some alt fusion. There's fusion genres that I like too, like this guy named King Cruel. I used to use Spotify, but now I'm using Apple Music because I have kind of beef with Spotify because they have this whole lawsuit of not paying their songwriters. So I'm in a band, so we're called Ella Roadside. We do indie alt rock. And I guess I'm very involved in it in ways that we try and get gigs around. We played at the Milk Parlor, we played at XYZ Gallery. We're going to try and play for radio too, for the WUVT.
Currently, I'm pretty sure it's like Frank Sinatra, Jimi Hendrix, Nirvana. I usually look through like playlists or like go to like YouTube and just like search up like related like music videos and stuff like that. Oh yeah, I actually help organize them sometimes with like Local Zone here at WVT. Yeah, just like house shows around the area. Like me and my friend Moz will help organize them. And
early 2000s rock. Embarrassing, I know. Modest Mouse, Interpol, Arctic Monkeys. I have a show and I play new music, so I just do that. Oh, I just pick, maybe I'll play like 1 or 2 songs that I know, but for the rest, which is like an hour and a half, I just play like, I literally just pick random, like off the shelves, and I just, and then sometimes you find super cool like bangers.
Top artist, Stephen Day. He's pretty good. I also listen to a lot of classical music because I'm a music major, specifically German and Italian. I listen to a lot of jazz. I like Miles Davis and I like soul. So I listen to like Marvin Gaye and Curtis Mayfield, people like that. So I find a lot of my music through my professors. Like one of my professors was in the Air Force Band. So he was telling me about stuff that he's played like in Korea.
I listen to mostly rock of the past several decades. Been recently into like 90s hip hop and R&B and 2000s rap. I hear about a lot of new artists from people here, specifically because, everybody's into their own thing and they'll talk about it like it's the greatest thing ever. And I'll be like, well, I got to listen to this now. I go to house shows occasionally. I attend as many as I can, the WUVIT shows we do at the Milk Parlor.
My favorite genres are like EDM and then sort of like rocky stuff. So top artists this past couple of weeks have been like an EDM artist now called Ghost Data, and then Spoon. And then, I guess a genre of music that I've been listening to a lot of recently is songs about digging. I had a radiothon show that was songs about digging, and so I've been listening to a lot of that. So I find new music mainly through like YouTube. The YouTube Mix feature has definitely brought me to some strange places, and that's why I use that app because, if I want to like listen to the music, I know it's on YouTube already, so I can just get it from YouTube.
Today we learned that a lot of people use their individual algorithms to find new music, but music is as much a social activity as it is solitary. This means people are getting recommendations from their friends, professors, as well as getting involved in the local music scene. This has been Javaria Zulfikar for the Newsfeed.
Vinyl records have been around since the 1900s, with the first commercial vinyl being available to the public in 1930. Popularity of vinyls spanned from the 1950s to the 1980s, but the sales started to decline with the rise of CDs and MP3 downloads in the 1990s. However, we are slowly seeing a revival of vinyl records across the young generation. Vinyl records are experiencing a resurgence in popularity among the music community. According to an article in Variety magazine, vinyl sales were up 22% in the first half of 2023. A relic of the past is drawing music lovers back to the analog format. Vincent Klein, the manager of John's Cameras and Records, discusses why vinyls are still a popular format of music across the world.
The format never really died or died out in this country, and if you look at other countries too, like particularly where there are like dance music scenes and there's like a strong culture for that.
Dance music and DJing has kept the art form alive through their sets throughout the world. But vinyls are not just about music, it is an experience for the listener. From the art of the album to setting the needle on the record, there is nothing quite like it. Whether you are a seasoned or a new collector of music vinyls, the format brings a timeless listening experience to all. And so, I want to thank you very much. And that will wrap up this special edition of the Newsfeed. A big thank you to our guests for joining us today. And if you have a story idea or even a talk show idea for the Newsfeed, let us know. Send us an email at thenewsfeednrv@gmail.com, or you connect with the Newsfeed on our socials. Thanks for watching, and I'm Gabriel Phillipson.